So now we're going to get into the adjustments. This is the really fun part. This is where you can get super creative. This is always the first thing I teach people in Photoshop. I think it gets the most beautiful results really quickly and easily, and it gets you warmed up to using the program. This program has a lot in it, and the way to really become an expert in this program is to just basically try everything. I learned this program by watching a lot of tutorials and literally trying every tool, every option to see what they did, and really just experimenting and trying not to get frustrated and just keep on coming back and trying new things and try to have fun with it, because you can really do a lot within this program. So we're going to focus on some of these adjustments, and these are going to affect the entire image. We're going to come up to image adjustments, and the first one we're going to look at is brightness and contrast. So this is really simple. Once you pick an adjustment, this dialog box will come up and you can click it and move it around so you can see your image. And each adjustment has different options in it. So I'm just clicking this and dragging, clicking and dragging. And you can see, if you don't see what's happening in your image, just make sure that this preview is clicked. Because if you don't have the preview, you can't tell what's going on. So you definitely want that preview clicked. And if you bring the brightness up, I suggest bringing the contrast up, or it'll get really, if you have no contrast, unless that's how you want your image to look, which is awesome. So if you like it, you press OK. If you realize, oh, I hate the way that looks, you just come into your history panel and go back one step. If also, the history panel is really great for seeing what you've done and seeing what you like and don't like. So you can kind of click back and forth and see what's going on. So we're going to try the next adjustment, which is levels. So levels is affecting the highlights and shadows even more. We're going to take these triangles and click and move them. This one all the way over to the left, it's affecting the shadows. And levels is the place I usually start with all my images, even my drawings, everything I start with levels. The one on the right is affecting the highlights, and the one in the middle is affecting the midtones. So everybody's image is going to be different. You can spend hours doing this, just kind of play around and see what looks good for your image. And I'm going to press OK. And now you can see in the history that brightness and contrast is gone, because I had gone back to open, and then I did an adjustment, and so everything below it is going to go away. So you can see that's already looking a lot better, I think. The next one we're going to try, image adjustments, is hue and saturation. I encourage you to try all of these and see what they do. There's no harm. Remember, you're working on the copy, so just try everything. Saturation, when something's desaturated, it's totally black and white. And when something's super saturated, the color becomes really vibrant. So play around with the saturation, the hue. You can see all kinds of funky things start to happen. I'm going to hit cancel on that. And then also a fun one is color balance. So down here you can affect the shadows, midtones, and highlights. Shadows are typically cooler, where highlights are typically warmer. So I'll often take the shadows and make them a little more blue, and maybe a little more cyan, maybe a little more green because I have some leaves back there. And then I'll bring the highlights and make them warmer. So I'll bring the yellows out in the highlights, magentas, and some reds up in the highlights. And that just creates a nice balance. And in the midtones, you can play around and do whatever you want. You can see what works for your image. What works for your image might be not work for mine. I'm going to press OK. And now we can see the difference. I think that actually looks pretty good even for a test image. The next thing I want to show you is image adjustments, black and white. So this is not just making it black and white. In this dialog box here, you can choose to make the reds, whatever was red in your photo, and I have these apples, you can make them darker. See how that's making whatever red darker or lighter. So it remembers the color information, and you can really, I can make the greens a lot darker. You can really adjust these. There wasn't that much blue in there, but you can kind of see some. You can really adjust this to make it exactly how you want it to look. So you can get a really nice black and white image. And press OK. And I'm going to go back to the color version. Okay, so those are adjustments that affect the entire image. So I want you to take some time now and just experiment. We did brightness and contrast, levels, the hue saturation, the color balance, and black and white. So you could even duplicate this again, image duplicate, and you can maybe make it called rain, black and white, if you want a black and white image. So you can have 2 or 3 of these open and you come to image, adjustments, black and white. And so you can have a couple open and see what you like. And I'm going to file, save, get in the habit of saving. And I'm going to file save the color one that I was working on because I like the way that looks. So just remember to save often